Understanding compliance. Before commissioning residential building plans, one of the most important steps is to ensure that the proposed development is legally compliant. Too often, homeowners proceed directly to design, only to discover later that their plans cannot be approved. This leads to delays, redesign costs, and in some cases, the complete abandonment of a project. Understanding the key compliance issues up front allows both clients and draftspersons to approach a project correctly from the beginning. The first and most fundamental check is zoning. Every property has a zoning classification, and that zoning determines what may legally be built on the land. This includes the number of dwellings permitted, the types of structures allowed, and the development limits that apply. Before any design work begins, it is essential to confirm the zoning of the property and understand the development rules attached to it. This ensures that the proposed project is even permissible in principle. Closely linked to zoning is the question of title deed restrictions. Many properties are subject to restrictive title deed conditions. These conditions may limit building lines, prohibit second dwellings, restrict building height, or impose other limitations that override zoning rights. It is critical to obtain and review the title deed at the outset. In some cases, these restrictions must be formally removed or amended before development can proceed. Another essential consideration is the presence of servitudes. Servitudes are legally defined areas on a property that are reserved for specific purposes, such as sewer lines, stormwater infrastructure, electrical services, or access rights. No structures may be built within a servitude area without the consent of the relevant authority. If a proposed building encroaches into a servitude, it will not be approved. A proper site analysis should identify all servitudes and ensure that the design avoids these areas. Building lines are another critical compliance factor. Building lines determine how far structures must be set back from property boundaries. These setbacks apply to street boundaries, side boundaries, and rear boundaries. If a proposed building encroaches beyond a building line, a formal application for a departure or relaxation will be required. Identifying these issues early allows the necessary applications to be planned before design work progresses too far. Coverage and floor area must also be checked at the outset. Coverage limits restrict how much of the property may be occupied by buildings, while floor factor controls the total floor area that may be developed. If a proposed design exceeds these limits, it will not be approved without a departure. These parameters should guide the size and layout of the building from the beginning. Height restrictions are equally important. Most residential areas have limits on the maximum height of buildings. Exceeding these limits may trigger planning applications or objections from neighbors. Understanding height limits early helps avoid costly redesign later in the process. Parking and access requirements must also be considered. Each dwelling unit must typically be provided with on-site parking. The number of required parking bays increases where additional dwellings are proposed. Access to the property must also comply with municipal requirements. This includes driveway positioning, width, and the number of vehicle access points allowed from the street. Ignoring these requirements can result in plans being rejected even when the building itself complies with zoning. Another important check is whether the property falls within an overlay zone. Overlay zones introduce additional planning controls that may relate to heritage protection, environmental sensitivity, or urban design requirements. If a property is located within an overlay zone, additional approvals may be required before building plans can be submitted. Existing structures on the property must also be considered. If there are buildings on the property that were constructed without approved plans, the municipality may require those structures to be regularized before any new plans can be approved. This is a common issue that can delay projects if not identified early. Finally, it is important to understand the relationship between planning compliance and building regulations. Even if a proposed design complies fully with zoning, it must still comply with the national building regulations. These regulations deal with structural safety, fire protection, drainage, ventilation, and other technical aspects of construction. For draftspersons, this means that compliance is not only about planning rules, but also about ensuring that the design meets technical building standards. For homeowners, it means that appointing a competent professional is essential to navigate both planning and building requirements. In summary, the key compliance checks before commissioning building plans include confirming zoning, reviewing title deed restrictions, identifying servitudes, checking building lines, verifying coverage and floor factor limits, confirming height restrictions, ensuring adequate parking and access, and determining whether any overlay zones apply. Addressing these issues at the outset allows a project to proceed smoothly and avoids unnecessary delays during the municipal approval process. By starting with compliance rather than design, homeowners and building professionals place themselves in the strongest possible position for a successful and efficient building project. Crinnov architectural specialists are adept at determining these issues. They also have strong cooperation links with local municipalities in order to streamline the process before commissioning the design process. Visit our website to start your project. Your